To stain your coasters, make sure you have everything that you need. You need a piece of paper underneath to keep the table nice and clean. You'll need a small piece of rag. You need your stain and obviously your coasters. Now, make sure you have enough time in the class period to do this. This will probably take 20 or 25 minutes, so it's best to stain all in one day. So make sure that you have enough time to complete this process. To stain your coasters, I'm only going to stain one for the video. A little stain on the end of the rag, and you can rub it in with the grain. Now it's easy to put too much on and end up with blotchy stain, so get just enough on to cover the surface, and then rub it in. For the stain, you can flip it over on the paper, that's not going to hurt anything. And then do the same thing on the other side. Here's some streaks from too much stain. Take the back side of the rag and rub those out right away. Otherwise, they're going to show through and dry like that. Then you can do the edges. Final step, take a look around all the sides, all the edges, make sure there's no streaks and no spots that are missing stain. It's easy to put streaks on when you stain the sides, so make sure you go over the faces again after you stain the sides. These can sit in your cubby and just lean against the sides like that, all 5 of them. On the box, same process. I would say start in the middle, because that way you don't hurt the sides when you're holding it with your fingers. You don't put splotches or stain around. The corners are kind of tricky to get. You just have to jam the rag into the corners as you stain. Try and stain with the grain as much as you can inside here, even though you won't be able to do that inside the corners. If there's parts of the corners that you can't get, take a little bit of stain on just the tip of the rag and put it down in there, and that'll get them. These inside corners are the hardest part. Once you have that, the rest is pretty easy. If you use a rag that's a little wetter, it's easier to get inside those corners. And then you can come back with the dry side of the rag and dry those edges out. So I'm going to try and do these corners first. That way when I come back and stain the inside faces, I can wipe that extra stain out. Now I'll do the inside faces. And again, this is stain, so it'll stain your clothes, it'll stain your skin, and it's hard to get out. So make sure you're using gloves. Make sure you're careful. You don't get it all over the place. One final little corner that I haven't reached yet. So now the inside's pretty good. You can see a little streak there. just going to go over it and make sure I don't have any real big blotches or streaks. This is water-based stain. It tends to be a little streakier than the oil-based stuff. So now that that's done, I will do my outside faces. A little bit on the rag. Rub it into the side. Now that was a pretty light coat, so I don't have any streaks to rub off. Next side, same thing. Rub that stain in. And then wipe it off. See some swirls here, that's from the sander. Could have done a better job sanding there. Again, rub it in. Wipe off any extra. So now those outside faces are done. Next I'll do these edges. And finally the bottom. And check for any splotches or any buildup. Okay, so that's pretty good. Final step, I'll put some stain on the bottom. Okay, now the sanding is done here. Again, or staining is done, excuse me. Make sure you give yourself enough time. There needs to be at least 20 minutes before the end of cleanup, before cleanup time starts, before you start staining. It's much easier to get everything done all at once than start one day and then finish another.